Okay, this is another reaction video from World According to Briggs, and this is kind of morbid. 10 ways the world will end according to scientists. Now, I don't know. Normally, he does things about places in the United States or 10 best things or in the world sometimes. But this is another 10 ways the world will end according to science. Science is kind of morbid apocalypse. But let's see what's going on. Hopefully, it doesn't. Nothing says it'll start with Russia invading Ukraine. But let's see. 10 ways the world will end according to scientists. Please click like, share, and subscribe for him. And please click like, share, and subscribe for me as well.
Today I'm going to tell you how the world might end, or at least how mankind might end. That's always a great conversation. We all think about it every once in a while. How's it all going to end? I think when we got to the atomic age, we all started to realize that the world could possibly end tomorrow. The thought always sits in the back of our heads. As things happen in the news, that thought jumps to the front of our heads, and then we got to deal with it. I grew up like most Gen Xers thinking nuclear war was inevitable and just could be a matter of time.
I never thought nuclear war was ever going to be inevitable. I grew up in the during the atomic age. Well, I was born in '69, so '70 through 1969 through 1991 when the Soviet Union collapsed. I never thought it would ever get to that point.
Time till it's all over.
I just didn't think either one was, the United States was stupid enough to launch a nuclear attack on the Soviet, nor did I ever think the Soviets would launch a nuclear war on the United States.
Today we look at the different ways scientists believe the world will end, or at least mankind will end. It's happened before, not to mankind. Remember the
dinosaurs.
Dinosaurs, the T-Rex, the Raptor, the Stegosaurus, and the Lycosaurus, they all got wiped out. Do you know what a Lycosaurus is? That is a dinosaur that always hits the like button on a YouTube video. Let's all pretend we're Lycosauruses and hit that like button. There are several organizations like the Global Foundation that put out these papers every year or two. Today I'm going to tell you about the 10 scenarios that most scientists believe could happen to us eventually. So sit back, relax, and I'm going to tell you what our next apocalypse could be.
Hopefully I'll be long gone and hard to find by that time that ever happens.
Got it? Get it? Good. Let's take a look. Number 10, future risks. Now, this one isn't your standard one. This is one they kind of put out there as something we don't know about yet. Nothing that...
Yeah, something like an alien invasion, even though I don't think that's going to happen. That's considered a future risk. Something you don't know is going to happen. This possibility actually happens. That's what a future risk is.
Come on our radar. Maybe some future technology we don't know about could just destroy the planet. Let's say for some reason lasers end up drilling into the earth and
if you ever want to see what life is actually like in that scenario, there are video games like Fallout you can play, which give you an idea
the earth just
of what happens after the apocalypse.
Implodes or something like that. Maybe a zombie apocalypse like The Walking Dead. Something the world doesn't know about could happen.
Yeah, I don't think the zombie apocalypse is going to happen.
Apocalypse, I know some people out there think it's real and it's going to happen, but if you think about it, there's certain bacteria and amoebas and everything else like that that have affected people's brain. If something like that got loosed, what if it starts, doing that to the entire planet and we all walk around like zombies? So yeah, future risks. That's number 10. Number 9, solar geoengineering. One of the worries we have is global warming, which is later on this list. So there are a lot of scientists that believe that solar geoengineering could save the planet from getting too hot. All those chemtrail stories? Well, they come from this. There's scientific theories that think if we put something into the stratosphere, like an aerosol that has reflective properties to reflect some of the heat back out into space, they think that could save the planet from global warming. Now, there's a fear and theories that this could actually work
it could backfire
against us and make the planet too cold. So we try and save ourselves from global warming and bring on a new ice age. That eventually...
I have a question, okay? When did man gain the ability to change the conditions on the Earth? When did we gain that ability? And assuming the Earth has been around for the millions and millions or billions of years that they say it's been around for, how come this has never been a problem before? Or we know what happened with the dinosaurs was a meteor, but that's probably on the list. But when did we ever gain the ability to control the climate on the planet? I've never, nobody's ever really explained that. I understand about climate change. I'm not a denier. Don't get me wrong. I'm just trying to figure out when we gain the ability to fight something like that.
Kills all the crops and hundreds of millions of people. Right now, there's just computer simulations going on with it. They haven't done any real experiments.
They just don't know what's going to happen.
But my understanding is Harvard is actually planning one on a very small scale. Number 8, artificial intelligence.
The Terminator defense, or not defense, the Terminator scenario, where you create Skynet, which does everything for you, and then Skynet develops a conscience and wipes you out.
Yeah, this is one that Elon Musk says he's terribly afraid of. He says this is what's going to end us. This is worse than nuclear war, global warming. Artificial intelligence will replace mankind. Most scientists believe that there's about a 50 or 60% chance that artificial intelligence will be able to perform most tasks as well or better than humans within the next 25 years, meaning there's no need for us to have jobs, there's no need for us to do anything, and eventually the artificial intelligence might see us as useless. Honestly, think how many human beings you know right now that are completely useless and could be replaced. I mean, once you get past the science part and the possibilities that this could happen, you just look to some of the movies we had if you want to kind of understand how this could happen. I mean, look at the Terminator series or the Matrix. Those are obviously science fiction and fantasy type things, but maybe they're really just a cautionary tale. Number 7, a supervolcano eruption.
Yeah, that's a probably more of the future one is number 10. Yeah, I'm not so sure about number 9 and number 8, but number 7, I don't know that would destroy everybody or wipe out all mankind, but I guess if a super volcano, because a volcano is dangerous, putting its stuff in it maybe cover the entire planet if you have a super volcanic eruption.
Now, we have volcanoes that go off all the time. Sometimes they create some problems. People lose houses. In St. Helens blew up and a few people died. You had one in Iceland go off some years back, and that kind of screwed up air travel. But the type they're worried about are the supervolcanoes like the one in Yellowstone National Park. This one's a caldera. It's not the traditional volcano, I guess you could say, where it's like a mountaintop, looks like a triangle. This one's kind of flat with the...
Yeah, and if that thing goes off, there's no way to control it. I don't care how well you prepare for it. We are, on this planet, essentially guests on it, okay? It has its own cycle. It has its own plan. Mother Nature does not. You have to respect Mother Nature because Mother Nature does not respect you. And there's certain things that can happen that you can't prepare for, and this would probably be one of them.
The ground or kind of goes in a little bit. If this one blows up, it could block out the sun, making us extremely cold and killing all our crops and probably most our livestock. If that happens, it doesn't clear up in a couple weeks or months. We're talking years and years for that ash to fall out of the sky. By then, we're all done, unless you really have a nice setup in an underground bunker. A supervolcano blew up 74,000 years ago and ejected so much debris into the atmosphere, scientists believe that caused the Earth to cool by several degrees Celsius. And some of the scientists believe that this caused the greatest mass plant and animal extinction in human history. That's one of those wait-and-see ones. We really don't know what's going to happen. I mean, we have different things to measure the pressure in the caldera in Yellowstone and other volcanoes, but we don't know when it's just going to decide to blow up. It could.
Yeah, that's one of those things. Like I said, you might be able to get an idea if it's going to happen. Maybe you'll prepare for it to happen in some way, shape, or form, but you won't be able to prevent it. It will happen whether you want it to or not.
Happen tomorrow. Number 6, the asteroid impact.
Yeah,
this one has been
the thing that wiped out the dinosaurs, the asteroid impact.
Done in movies. They believe this is what actually killed the dinosaurs. Asteroids and rocks and all kinds of stuff collide with.
Again, that's another thing that you can't prevent. If an asteroid were to land, were to hit the Earth with the same impact, which devastated, wiped out the dinosaur, there's nothing you can do to prevent it. You might be able to see it coming, and you might be able to, I don't know if you can do it like an Armageddon or Deep Impact, or those movies do something about it. But we wouldn't be prepared for something like that. Okay, it's not like we live in the era of Star Trek where we can send some starships out there to phaser it or torpedo it or even change its trajectory or possibly even evacuate the planet.
the Earth's atmosphere all the time. Sometimes they make it down to the Earth's surface, usually the size of like a softball maybe. Scientists believe that about every 120,000 years, an asteroid large enough to cause a global catastrophe hits the Earth. Scientists believe that if one-tenth the size of the one that actually killed off the dinosaurs hit the Earth today, it would send enough stuff into the atmosphere it could block out the sun for 6 months to a year. Again, killing crops and causing a famine that could kill hundreds of millions of people. These days, NASA's been sending things up to meet asteroids, to kind of crash into them, to hopefully develop some kind of defense system for major asteroids. Matter of fact, they just crashed one into an asteroid the other day. I don't know what happened with that, though. Number 5, biological warfare, or
Yeah, this would be man killing man and using weapons that probably shouldn't be using at all.
chemical warfare. If you spend any time in the military, you get kind of briefings and you learn and you take classes on chemical and biological warfare. I can tell you right now, it is one of the ugliest things we're dealing with on this planet. There are nerve agents, blood agents that can be put into the air, put into the water supply. There's so many things to apply chemical and biological weapons. It's scary. And the way they kill you is not pleasant. The strange thing about it is it's not as expensive as having a real army or developing nuclear weapons. Almost any country could do this. Saddam Hussein, who was backwards as all get out, he had chemical weapons. He put them on the Kurds, mustard gas. It was horrible. There are some conspiracy theories that the whole pandemic we just had was some form of biological weapon. I don't know about that one, but it is doable.
Yeah, that's one of the, again, that's man killing man. A lot of these, like the first one, was like something we don't know is going to happen. You know, I don't think we have a zombie apocalypse that was mentioned earlier, but some of these are natural catastrophes. Okay, things that we have no control over. Climate, that's, I don't know when we get to global warming. I'm not so sure about that one either. Even though, like I said, that's not gonna. When he talks about the world ending, that's how it's all about mankind ending, not necessarily the world. Because I think from a globe, the Earth has its own schedule, okay, and we just have to deal with it on certain things.
Number 4, pandemics. Yeah, we know.
Yeah, we just went through a pandemic.
About pandemics, we're kind of at the.
But this wasn't as dangerous a pandemic as some of the other ones that are out there, that are potentially out there. Pandemics that could, wipe out a number of the population. This one was bad enough as it was, but not as bad as some of the other ones that are out there.
The tail end of one right now, supposedly gone. We still have COVID-19, but
I think COVID-19 will be around forever. I just think it's not going to be as a situation where it's going to be a pandemic for the rest of our lives. Or, for all intents and purposes, I don't think we need to wear masks anymore and things like that. Especially we got the boosters and things like that are available. But there are other diseases out there that could wipe out mankind as well.
But the pandemic itself is gone, meaning we've fallen below the threshold that qualifies it as a pandemic. Well, twice in modern history, plagues have made it to almost every corner of the earth, killing almost 20% of the population in a few decades. And I'm not talking the population of a state, city, or country, the entire planet. The plague happened in the 5th and the 14th centuries. Mm-hmm. Diseases and illnesses that can travel the globe, they're very rare. We just talked about this in another video. The Spanish flu, which happened during World War I, the SARS outbreak, Ebola. In most cases, we have ways to deal with those, but what if we don't? In the beginning of COVID, we really didn't have much about it. We had knowledge of it, but we didn't have anything to protect ourselves from it.
Yeah, the most important thing on plagues and things like that is that you identify them early and you quarantine and prevent it from spreading. Because if you get something that's really dangerous that spreads really fast, that could be a problem.
Pass masks
more than a problem, actually,
and washing our hands. With that, kind of part of it is we're starting to have antibiotic-resistant bacteria. So when you do get sick, the typical antibiotics we have right now don't fix it. Number 3, ecological collapse.
Now, again, this is another thing of man killing man, with people just polluting the earth and destroying waterways. It's so silly when you think of some of the things that mankind does. It's just amazing.
Now, ecosystems can collapse. They have in the past. Africa's a perfect example. They've had 60, 70 years of drought, and a lot of their lakes have dried up. A lot of lakes that people depended on. Of course, once the lake dries up, the vegetation dies, and a lot of people used to rely on Lake Chad. Right now, it's like 10% of what it used to be. Now, that's just one example. One of the biggest worries is the Amazon. If that turned into an ecological collapse, scientists believe we'd never recover. They've been chopping down the Amazon for decades, and right now they figure we lose about 10,000 acres every single day that are either cut down or burned. Now, from 2004 to 2012, it did slow down. New people came to power, changed some laws, and since 2018, they've been back at it at a pretty good pace, too. It's not just on land either. There's marine ecosystems that could collapse as well, like the Great Barrier Reef.
Yeah, that's again that's man killing man right there. Even though I understand you want to develop and everything like that, but man killing man, that's probably the more that's a different kind of warfare that needs to be stopped.
Number 2, catastrophic climate change. Now
and this falls under global warming. Now again, I don't know how we can fight the climate. I understand there are certain things I can do that will help things in terms of electrical cars and things like that. I get all that, okay? But if the climate's going to change, the climate's going to change, okay? That's just the way it is, okay? And that's how I've always seen it. Now, I'll do what they tell me to do. I will follow. I'll be a good boy, and I will do everything that is required of me to help fight climate change if it is possible, okay? If they tell me it's possible, it's possible. I'm not a scientist, but I part of me looks at when it says climate change. If the climate's going to change, it's going to change. Okay, that's just the way it is. Okay, we don't have control over Mother Earth.
Climate is always changing. I mean, we've had ice ages, temperatures rise.
They still don't know what caused the little ice age in the 16th and 16th, 17th, 18th centuries. They still don't know what caused that.
Temperatures fall. But for whatever reason, if one were to get too extreme, there's a tipping point that the world would probably never recover from. I'm sure at least in our lifetimes. Now, there's a whole...
Now, I think the Earth would recover from it. It's just that we wouldn't be able to do anything about it. And like I said, the Earth has its own time schedule, okay? And we are not a part of that. We can't change that time schedule. We can do things that'll help ourselves. I mean, like I said, if mankind dies, Earth will spin up, okay? So, I mean, there was a show on, when man, what happens after man is gone, okay? Earth will still be here, okay? And it will fix itself, but when we do things like this, assuming we're responsible, okay? I'm not sure we're responsible, but assuming we are, then we did this to ourselves. If we aren't responsible, this is just part of the natural evolution of the Earth, and so be it.
Whole bunch that goes into this, and there's arguments on each side. One thing they do know, the climate is changing. It always has. But the biggest question is, are humans adding to the natural cycle?
Again, and that's the question. I know there's a lot of people who believe that we are, and there's some people who believe that we're not. I do not have that answer, okay? I'm not going to fight somebody who says we are. I'm not going to fight somebody who says we are not, okay? All I can do is do what I can do to make sure that in my own little corner of the world that I can survive till I'm a ripe old age.
Of climate change. And if we are we going to get it to that tipping point where we don't recover? That's where the controversy is. I'm not getting into it because I'm not a scientist, but there is a potential to basically kill off everything on the planet if we got too warm or too cold. Maybe polar bears and walruses would survive.
Back in the 70s, they said we were heading to another ice age. Since then, it's been global warming, okay? And everything that happens in terms of weather outside is due to global warming, whether it's too cold or too hot. Again, I don't have that answer. I'm not smart enough. I haven't done the research enough. But yeah, again, it's just something you have to look at.
If it got too cold, I don't know. But if it gets too warm, you're not going to be able to visit Florida anymore. That'll be the first state to go. All right, before we get to number 1, don't forget we have another channel called On This Day. There is a link down below. We'd love it if you went over there and watched some videos, give some thumbs up, some likes on them, just like this video. All right, on to number 1. And number 1, nuclear war.
Yeah, this has been around since 1945, obviously. Uh, in Japan, they're the only country that's ever experienced something like this, and they were still feeling the effects of it into the 1990s. And I don't know if they're still feeling the effects today, if anybody's still around from that time period. But yeah, that's man killing man.
Warfare. Yes, this is one of the ones that's more realistic than just about anything. It could happen really at any time. Sometimes that threat is high, sometimes it's kind of low, sometimes it's in the middle. Right now, I get the vibe we're kind of on high. There's a lot of weird badness going on in the world, and it could really happen.
Well, I mentioned earlier Russia invading Ukraine. Uh, there's been talk about Putin using tactical nuclear weapons, and Biden says, "Don't you dare." And I'm trying to figure out what Biden's going to do about it. Okay, because Biden does not come across like somebody very threatening or somebody that's going to scare Putin. But yeah, this is man killing man. Look, there was a movie in 1984. In fact, I was watching a little bit of it last night, Red Dawn, 1984, where it had the Soviets and Cubans and Nicaraguans attacking the United States, and these teenagers band together to call themselves Wolverines. It was made. I know there was a remake in 2010, 2011, wherever it was, but that was the one with Patrick Swayze, C. Thomas Howell. It's called Red Dawn. Okay, the reality of the situation, as I saw that, is why would you use conventional wisdom when you have nuclear weapons? If you're going to actually invade the United States, you're going to use nukes. Okay, if the United States is going to attack anybody, we have nukes. We have the ability to do this. Okay, so I'm not one to think that that's going to happen anytime soon. I don't think we're stupid enough to do that. I hope. Let me rephrase that. I hope we're not stupid enough to do that.
But then again, I went to high school during the 80s, and they told us it could happen then too. If it
Yeah, they told that if you look at the movies from the 1980s, there were a lot of post-apocalyptic movies about surviving a nuclear holocaust.
nuclear weapon, just one, goes off, let's say in a city, there's about a 5 mile to 10 mile radius where nothing's going to survive. They figure 95 to 99% of the people in that area, plants, people, animals, would just go away.
Yeah, if you hear a nuclear weapon, it's 20 minutes from landing right where you are or close to where you are. I know a lot of people said get in a car and drive right towards the center of it because you'll be vaporized instantly. You won't feel a thing, and that'll be it. Because if you, the worst part about a nuclear holocaust is not the dying part; it's the surviving part with the nuclear with the sickness, radiation sickness.
Some completely vaporized. As you go out away from the blast, it gets a little less damage and you have a better chance of survival. Now, if it turns into a total global thing, yeah, it's going to be bad. I mean, if it went back and forth with.
Remember the game I mentioned, Fallout? There you go. That's that's a post-apocalyptic role-playing game. Probably you can do Fallout and Fallout 2 on the PC. But Fallout 3 is available for console. You can get it for a pretty cheap price. Uh, it's a fun game to play, but still, it gives you an idea of what happens of trying to survive in a post-apocalyptic war. I mean, granted, it's a game, okay? It has some it's a game, okay, but it still does paint a bleak picture.
With big superpowers, we're talking that super volcano situation, along with like the asteroid impact situation. Well, they would all kind of happen at once. Not the asteroid hitting the Earth, but sort of the same effect. Besides putting radiation all over the planet in a situation like that, it would probably throw so much stuff into the air that we would, go through that next ice age situation. The people that do survive would be in a survival of the fittest situation. You won't have the police to call. You'll have to defend yourself. Societies around the globe would just collapse. These, of course, are all predictions, but it seems pretty feasible if you know what a nuclear weapon or what several dozen nuclear warheads could.
And again, this is man killing man, so.
Do to a country, a continent, a state, whatever. There's been several times in history where nuclear warfare was almost started by a miscommunication or an accident.
The closest I think we ever came, I can think of two incidences that happened in the 1960s. One was at the wall, the Berlin Wall, where there was a standoff between Soviet tanks and American tanks, and the other was the Cuban Missile Crisis. Um, don't know how real close it came to that, but those are the only two that I know of. But hey, this is World According to Briggs, how the world will end. Kind of a morbid subject. Hopefully, it doesn't happen. Not in our lifetime. Hope it doesn't happen in anybody's lifetime. But please click like, share, and subscribe for him. And please click like, share, and subscribe for me. And have a good rest of your day. Thanks for watching.